coffee, y'all pull up a chair. If life's been heavy, you're welcome here. We talk real stories, the truth, the fight, the mess, the pain, what's wrong and what's right. The crime in the headlines, secrets and shame, abuse, addiction, calling it by name. Mental health, yeah, we say it out loud. No whispers here, no blending in the crowd. This ain't a courtroom, this ain't a feed. It's a table where we all get a seat. But first, coffee with Susie over Holtz, where hard conversations don't cost your soul. We talk recovery, we talk repair, we talk hope rising up from despair. We're a safe place, friends and family, small town heart with a global reach, like a local newspaper and a coffee shop door. Pull up a chair, there's room for more.
Hey everybody, welcome back. I have my friend Mandy here with me today, and today we're going to talk about a really serious subject. And before we get too started, I just want to thank everybody for being here. We are streaming to Mandy's channel as well, so if you have not checked her out, please go do that. She's amazing, of course. So
don't forget, I'm they, them.
Oh yes. I know John is in the back.
We're working on it.
I'm working on it. I get so centered on what I'm talking about, but yes, they, them. But Mandy is amazing. I try to just say your name so that I don't screw up. But anyway,
sometimes
before we get too started on this, I do have something that I want to read because it will kind of tell you what we're going to talk about today. And then I have a clip from another girl's, one of her videos that where she talks about this case that we're going to talk about. And then I just want to talk to Mandy, and that will become completely, you'll understand it as we get into it. But basically, as the thumbnail said, it could have been me. And the me in this situation is Mandy. She lived in the town that two of the victims lived in. And
three.
Were all three of them from there?
Yeah.
Okay. Where three of the victims were. I read that 100 times and somehow I missed it.
It's okay.
I don't know how. But anyway, so Mandy knew them, was the same age as them, and she'll explain all that. But anyway, so first I just want to read this quick thing. I'm going to pop it up. Hopefully I can see it all. Let me turn this off for a second. So Richard Evonitz, his name was actually Richard Marc with a C, Evonitz.
Evonitz.
So, is that how they pronounce it? Evonitz?
Yeah.
Okay. So Richard Marc Evonitz was born on July 29th of 1963 in Columbia, South Carolina. And he was in the Navy and married twice to much younger wives, with both of them living completely unaware of his crimes. In 1987, he ran into trouble with the law when he exposed himself to a 15-year-old girl and was arrested 1 month later when his ship returned to port. So he was sentenced to 3 years of probation for this offense, okay? Then on September 9th of 86? He kidnapped 13-year-old Sophia Silva from the front steps of her house in Virginia. Police found her body in a pond, weeks later. Then or I guess that was 96, yeah. Then May of 1997, he kidnapped 15-year-old and 12-year-old sisters, Kristen and Katie Lisk, from their home, also in Virginia. Both bodies were found 5 days later in a river. On June 24th, 2002, he kidnapped 15-year-old Kara Robinson from a yard in South Carolina. He took her to his home before raping her repeatedly. He then tied her to the bed before falling asleep, allowing her the opportunity to escape and alert authorities. Meanwhile, discovering her escape, he fled to Florida, or, went that way anyway, and he was tracked to Florida on June 27th. He was involved in a high-speed chase by police to Sarasota, where he was surrounded and subsequently shot himself in the head in the standoff. The evidence discovered after Robinson's brave escape was what tied him to the Lisk and Silva murders. So, a very, very brave young girl. I want to pop this one up really quick. This is his victims that we know of. The first three are the ones that he did murder. The third is Kara, that we're going to listen to in just a little bit. And there's a picture of him. I just want, I know he's dead, but I just want to go spit on his grave or something. It's absolutely disgusting.
And he fled to Florida because his wife and mother were on vacation at Disney.
Yeah.
And
so they were on vacation.
Called his sister and confessed a whole bunch of things. He said to her that he had committed so many crimes he didn't know how many.
Yeah,
he couldn't remember them all.
Yeah, and that leads us to ask, were there more? Are there more?
Mm-hmm.
Bodies out there? Yeah. I'm sure there are too. I'm not going to go deeply,
especially if he confessed a lot of stuff to her.
Yeah, I'm sure he wasn't talking about petty crime and stuff like that.
Nope.
If he's going to confess something, he's talking about big stuff. And as I said, I'm not going to go into a whole lot of detail about how he murdered these young girls, but let's just say that the things that he did really lead you to believe that this was not the beginning of, his crime spree. This was something that I believe went on. We don't know, but I believe it went on for years. I really do. So I think
there are many other young women, like 18, 19, 20-year-olds that were murdered in the area he was living at the time, around the same time that these girls were murdered as well. But those ones are still unsolved.
Okay, I think, do I just add this to the stage and will it play, or do I need to do something?
This is the story time you've probably been waiting on. 22nd anniversary of my kidnapping. I want to share a little bit of a longer format of me telling my story my way. It's been told in a documentary and in a movie. You can find information on both of those on my profile as well as on my website. Really new here. My name's Kara Robinson Chamberlain. In 2002, when I was 15 years old, I was kidnapped from my friend's front yard by a man I would later find out is a serial killer. And this is my story. The background, the before, what my life looked like, then make sure you go back and watch that. But let's just get right into it. In 2002, I had spent the night with my best friend. We were always together, and we were trying to decide what to do for the day. We wanted to go to the lake, and so we called our friend who lived on the lake. We decided that that's what we were going to do for the day, but my friend wanted to take a shower first. So she had called her mom and asked if there was anything that we needed to do before we left the house for the day, and her mom asked that we water the plants. I wanted to take a shower. I volunteered to go out and water the plants for her. That was a decision that forever changed my life. I in my pajama shorts and my t-shirt and started watering the plants. And I noticed a car driving by on the way out of the neighborhood. I noticed the car because I was 15. I was getting ready to get my license, and I was paying attention to cars, trying to decide what kind of car I wanted to drive. So when the car came back into the neighborhood and pulled directly into the driveway, I took note of it. I remembered it because I had just seen it and I had actually paid attention to it, which wasn't always the case in a neighborhood. So there's houses all around. It's broad daylight. I felt safe. In the driveway, a man got out, average looking white male. I estimated he was in his 30s. He was about 5'10", like average height, maybe a little heavier than average, but he didn't look like anyone who set off any alarms for me. He had a binder in his arms and he said, "Hey, I saw you out here. I'm distributing these magazines, these pamphlets, and I would love to leave them for your mom or dad if they're home." And I said, "Well, this is my friend's house." And he said, "Okay, well, what about her parents? Are they home?" And I said, "No, her mom's not home right now." During this whole interchange, he maintained a respectable distance from me. There's no red flags going off at any point during this conversation. It was when he stepped in to hand me the magazines that things changed. I immediately felt what I somehow knew to be a weapon pressed to my neck. It was a small caliber handgun, and he pressed it in and he said, "Come with me." When I felt that weapon press into my neck, I immediately went into fight or flight. If you've never experienced this, it's automatic and you don't have a lot of control over it. So when he said, "Come with me," I went, "Stop." And he said, "No, you're going to come with me." He had his right arm around my neck. And so because the handgun was so small, it could not be seen by an outside observer. I walked with him to his car. I walked to the driver's side, and he opened the driver's side door, put the seat forward, and told me to get into the back seat. When I looked into the back seat, all I saw was the seat was filled with a plastic container. I said, "Where do I go?" He said, "Get in the container." So I did. I got in the container. He loosely put the lid on. He put his seat back, got in the car, shut the door, and drove away. I was lucky. My survival mechanism was to completely dissociate and stay calm. I inherently knew that I was going to survive. I had a gut feeling I'm going to survive. I'm going to escape. And I began praying that I would find an opportunity to do so. But in the meantime, I knew that I needed to gather as much information as I could to identify this person. I didn't care what his plans were because I knew what my plans were. I was going to find a time when his guard was down and I was going to escape. There was no question in my mind, but I had to have information about where I was, who he was, what he was doing so that I could help identify him. My fact gathering mission began with paying attention to the turns that he was taking, trying to figure out where we were going. When I felt the car get onto the interstate, I knew that I wasn't going to be able to follow that route. And so I began trying to gather any other information I could, from the type of cigarettes he was smoking, the music on the radio, to the serial number on the inside of the bin that I was being held in. He drove for about 15 minutes before he pulled over to the side of the road, at which point he restrained my wrists and put a ball gag in my mouth and then closed the container completely. He drove a few more minutes and he got out of the car, picked up the container, and carried the container with me inside of it a short way before he set it down and drug it over a threshold into his apartment. For the next 18 hours, I was his captive. I was sexually assaulted multiple times. I was told that we were going to watch the news to see if anyone missed me. I was told that he was going to let me go whenever he was done with me. He was going to take me somewhere where I wouldn't know where I was, and he was going to let me go. And it was my decision if I went to the police or not, and if I was always known as the girl who was raped. Regardless of what he told me, I knew that I was going to escape, and I wasn't waiting on him to make the decision to let me go. And that was a decision that saved my life. At one point, when I was with my captor, he put me back into the container so that he could make a phone call. When I was in that container, I started to have an anxiety attack. He came in, he told me that I had to be quiet. I told him I couldn't breathe. And so he said that he would take the ball gag out of my mouth and he would take the lid off of the container if I promised not to be loud. I told him I would, and he also gave me a Valium around that time. And he continued his phone call after that. I later found out he was calling his wife that was out of town. Eventually, it was time for bed. The Valium had kicked in at that point, and my captor restrained me. He put handcuffs on both of my wrists. There was a quick link, which is like a carabiner with screw type clasp that was around the middle of the handcuffs, and that was attached to a rope that was tied to the frame of the bed. And I had a leg restraint on my right leg that was also tied to the foot of the bed. So I was restrained for bed, and I eventually fell asleep. Case for escape. I imagined several different scenarios during the 18 hours that I was there that I would try to escape, whether that was trying to get one of his weapons and trying to fight him off, or escaping while he was sleeping. But when I woke up early in the morning the next day and he was still asleep, I knew this was my best case to escape. I knew my first step was to get out of the handcuffs. I tried to squeeze my hands out, couldn't do that. So I knew I had to disconnect them from the rope. I tried to unscrew the quick link with my fingers, couldn't do that, and used my teeth to unscrew it, slid my hands up out of the quick link, slid my hands down my body to my foot where I was able to disconnect the carabiner that connected the leg restraint, and slid out of bed. My captor remained asleep next to me the entire time. I went to the front door, and it was more or less barricaded with just stuff. I moved that as quietly and as quickly as I could, threw the door open, and ran. I just knew that while I was running, he was going to wake up, look out the window, and see me and shoot me in the back. But I also knew that I was out, and even if that happened, someone would see me, someone would hear what happened, and he would be caught. I ran across the parking lot of the apartment complex straight towards a car. I saw one car driving across the parking lot. I ran out in front of it. I waved it down. There were two men inside. I said, "My name's Kara Robinson. I was kidnapped and I escaped from that apartment." And they said, "What do you want us to do?" I said, "Take me to law enforcement." And they did. When I got to the regional sheriff's department, I ran in, didn't see anyone immediately, but heard a voice say, "Ma'am, excuse me, ma'am, can I help you?" And ran towards the voice. There was an officer sitting there at a computer. I told him, "My name's Kara Robinson. I was kidnapped and I escaped. And this is my story. This is my information." He began taking my information, looking for me in the missing persons report. And eventually he called my mom and had her come to get me. In the meantime, before my mom could get there, an investigator was notified. He responded. He took the handcuffs off of my wrist. At that point, I was able to squeeze one of my hands out. And so he took it off the other wrist, and he said, "Do you think that you'd be able to identify the apartment that you came from?" And I said, "I doubt it, but I'm willing to try." So he put me in his car. We drove to the apartment complex. As expected, they all looked the same. I wasn't able to identify the particular apartment. I knew it was a ground floor, left side of the building apartment, but that's about all I knew. While I wasn't able to identify the particular apartment, what I did have was a lot of knowledge I had gathered while I was in his apartment. We saw a man on a golf cart that worked for the apartment complex. We stopped him, and I gave him the information that I knew. This is what the man looks like. There's a woman that lives there that has long red hair. I knew that because there was a hairbrush that had long red hair in the apartment. There are a lot of animals in the apartment. These are the animals. This is the car that he drives. And from all of that information, the maintenance man said, "Yeah, I think I know what apartment that is." The investigator then took me back to the substation where my mom was waiting. I went to the hospital and was getting ready to have a sexual assault exam done. While I was waiting for the exam, an investigator came in with a photo lineup. From the information that I had given them about the apartment, his dentist, his doctor, all of this information that I had gathered while I was in his apartment, they were able to identify my captor. They brought me a photo lineup. I immediately identified him and found out my captor's name was Richard Marc Evonitz, and he was not in his apartment. He was officially on the run. Law enforcement was searching his apartment during this time, and they found some pretty disturbing information. They found a lockbox in his apartment that contained a lot of materials, but most notably were newspaper clippings about 3 homicides in Virginia in 1996 and 1997. Law enforcement immediately notified the task force for those 3 homicides, and they responded to collect evidence. Meanwhile, they're obviously on the hunt for my captor. They have very little information about where he is, but eventually his sister calls and says that she's supposed to meet him in Florida. They had been tracking his cell phone at the time, triangulating his location and watching him move down I-95 from South Carolina towards Florida. He's supposed to be meeting his sister at a restaurant, so they have a law enforcement officer sitting there waiting to intercept him. He pulls into the restaurant, gets spooked, and goes on the run. There's a short police chase with speeds up to or over 100 miles an hour, obviously wrecks. They send in a canine to apprehend him, and at that point, he has a weapon in his hand and takes his own life there on the side of the road in Sarasota, Florida. His story more or less ends there, but mine just started. While this is a story that many of you know me for, it's not all of who I am. It's not something that defines me. It is something that shaped my life, but it's not the shape of my life and who I am. I'm a lot more than just the girl who was raped. Following my captor's death, he was positively identified as the person responsible for the homicides of Katie and Kristen Lisk and Sophia Silva in Virginia. I went on to form relationships in law enforcement, which led to a career in law enforcement. I worked for Richland County Sheriff's Department, which was the agency that investigated my case all through high school and college. When I graduated college, I became a fully sworn deputy at Richland County Sheriff's Department. I worked as a school resource officer and then as an investigator investigating sexual assault and child abuse cases. And finally, as a victim's advocate up until the birth of my first child. So that's the broad scope of my story. If you want to know more, please be sure to check out the documentary or the movie. Like I said, you can find more information on both of those on my website, which is KaraRobinsonChamberlain.com. But I also do a lot of Q&As, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have. So that's it. That's the story of how my life changed and the event that forever would shape who I am, but definitely doesn't define who I am.
Whew. Wow, right? I thought that it would be much more meaningful if we just let her say it in her words instead of, necessarily trying to go back and, and tell her story, that we would just let her do hers. And please, y'all go look her up. She's doing some amazing work. She's on Hulu and several other places that you can find her. Yeah. Wow. Absolutely.
The show on Hulu is called Somebody Knows Something.
Yes.
And she's trying to help bring light to missing persons cases to try and get like fresh eyes on them and stuff like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's amazing. I don't know if I would have the strength to do that. I like to think that I'm a strong person, but I think that I might be one of those that would just kind of want to push it aside and forget. And she is doing something so amazing by not doing that and helping others. And I think she's amazing. I watched a lot of stuff over the last few days, and I don't know. I watched several different versions of where she was being interviewed and telling her story, and I actually just liked this one the best, where nobody was questioning her. She just sat down and told it herself. So anyway, that's
and the movie is on Lifetime, and it's called The Girl Who Escaped. She started working with Elizabeth Smart, if anybody knows who she is. Elizabeth started kind of pushing for a more like victim survivor atmosphere rather than focusing on the monsters and glorifying the monsters, and actually giving back the control of the story from the I'm also on Twitch. My friend Jen Elizabeth Smart was on Designing Women. Really? I did not know that. But so she's doing a lot of great work, and so since she put out her movie and she had complete control over it, she's been helping other survivors like Kara and stuff be able to make their own movies and be in control of it.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, Elizabeth Smart's pretty amazing anyway. I mean, yeah, she's a beautiful soul too, absolutely. I've watched several different things that she's been on, and even though, I mean, it's been a few years since all that happened, I really went back just recently with kind of fresh eyes and ears and watched a lot of the stuff where she tells her story, and she speaks so just eloquently, just like Kara does. They are both such amazing young
Well,
women.
it comes from like also like practice, because they do like keynote speaking and
absolutely
stuff like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, how I basically came to know about the story was just kind of by accident. We were just talking and you just kind of mentioned it a little bit. This has been a few weeks ago, and we were busy planning something else. So I kind of filed it back, and I said, don't think I'm not going to come back and want to talk to you about this, because I'm going to want to talk to you about this. And so we finally, got together, and so here we are. And what I'd like to do, Mandy, is just kind of let you tell your side of this story, your connection to this story from your viewpoint, and again, I know that it's extremely triggering, and I'm so sorry for that. I'm, so sorry that this is triggering for you, and I appreciate so much that you're willing to come here and talk to us. So again, tell what you want to tell, don't tell what you want to tell, whatever. But if you could just take us back to Mandy back then when this happened, and kind of tell us
baby Mandy.
To baby Mandy.
Yeah. Sometimes people don't really think about what these types of events do on the community at large in the areas. And I think even if I didn't know Kristen and Katie, it would have still been pretty difficult, because my hometown is Fredericksburg, Virginia, which is Spotsylvania County. And it's very large now, but back then there wasn't much development. And so it was still kind of a small place. And you have like Fredericksburg's pretty small. And then when you start to get to the outskirts of Spotsylvania County, it's just like really rural. And the place that he moved to was Culpeper County, which is like 30 to 40 miles west, I believe, of Fredericksburg. And that's where him and his first wife moved to in the mid-90s. And I would look up her story as well. She's on TikTok. She came out like a couple years ago with it. I mean, if you put in his name, so much comes up now. You can definitely find it. Her story was really interesting because she just thought that he was cheating on her, maybe, because she like felt things were off. and he like increasingly started, I guess, getting more verbally abusive and stuff, and she left him. But okay, let me go back a little. All right, so I was 15, and there weren't that many high schools, and so when Sophia was killed, it was just like, okay, well, oh my God, some like teenager got like murdered. What? And then she was found, I think, 5 weeks later. And this was like towards the end of 96. And then May 1st of 97, Katie and Kristen go missing. They found them pretty quickly.
Now you knew them.
Yes. I knew a little bit more because she was my age, and the connection I had to her was through my softball team. She had a best friend on my softball team, so sometimes they would come to the games and stuff. But these girls were taken in broad daylight, all of them, like in front of their houses, like right after school. And
this was actually, very much the height of the latchkey kids and all that, So
a few things definitely changed by that point. It felt like he was hitting different high schools. First it was Cortland High School, then it was Spotsylvania High School. I was like, oh my God, is it gonna be like my school? I remember people, like adults, I think some adult parents were really strict about it, but I think my grandparents maybe opted for, let's just not talk about it, because that's how they dealt with everything. Let's just not talk about things. We were all like kind of like, the school counselors were fully available at that point, and they started canceling after school activities. There was a curfew.
So
I still have all the newspaper clippings, but I didn't go to their funeral. I've never been in their graves. And I normally
this is such a testament to how much it affects the community when something like this happens, and how much it affects other kids, that are in that same age group, and for how long. I just
I'm normally like put together when I tell this. Like I told you, no problem on the phone. Like I think it's because I saw that news clip.
Yeah. She
can you tell
Mandy
them
found
about it?
Mandy found the news clip whenever it was announced on the news and everything. And I think that was very triggering for them. I really do. To see something that's made now, is triggering enough. But when you see something that you probably saw back in the day, or that, your family and your friends all saw back in the day, and, just the way that it looks, things look different. And to see a clip from your hometown, it has to be so incredibly just triggering. I cannot imagine. And I'm just so incredibly sorry.
Like I even remember the details from the newspaper, and I remember freaking out because I was like, why would they print that?
Yeah. And I think that newspapers back then printed even more than what they do now, to be perfectly honest. I've seen, whenever I had the newspaper, when I bought it, it came with every newspaper that was ever published of theirs, and I would sit and look back at some of the different newspapers through the years, and man, they told details that I would never have told, that we just wouldn't get away with, now or even a few years ago.
Mhm.
So I absolutely
And I do think that
understand.
sometimes it's important to have those details so people understand how real it is.
But at the same time, man, when you're talking about children,
and they had like no leads. And I remember Sophia, after Sophia was murdered, they thought they had someone, and then I think the lab messed up with the investigation, and it turned out it wasn't that person. And I remember people telling us, well, look out for this kind of car, look out for this, and but they just had nothing. They had nothing.
Yeah.
They were drowned in rivers. Apparently he had a thing for drowning. That's a detail about him I didn't know.
Yeah.
He was like obsessed
one of the things
with
he did
like,
to them.
yeah, he like was obsessed with like water and drowning. Trying to think of other details. So since this happened in May, and by June, sorry, I will be probably ticking a lot.
Okay. That's all right.
It happens when I get emotional. Anyway, I have my ice cream stress ball.
Bless your heart. I just have the regular little stress ball.
I like fun ones. I even here I have.
Yeah.
I might as well show you this other one. Where did I put it? Oh no. I don't know where I put it. Never mind. But it's like a little fish, and like you squeeze it and a little bubble pops out.
Oh wow.
It's really cute. But anyway, so yeah, it happened in May. They were found, and then it was the end of the school year. And like I said, and like you said, but our neighborhoods went from unlocking doors.
Oh.
Like we had our doors unlocked all the time, even cars.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then everybody started locking things. I felt like maybe because things were dying down, parents may have been lifting up just slightly. I was still able to like go places and stuff, but obviously like I needed to check it.
Yeah.
So my cousin at the time lived across the street from me, and we were on my back porch. Like we would like stay up all hours of the night and then decide to sleep at one house or the other.
Yeah.
In the summer.
My cousin and I did the same thing. We just lived right down the street from each other. So we did the exact same thing.
And so one night we were on my back porch, and the my backyard and all the backyards on that street kind of were like open to a big open field and hill that was empty, and then it had a creek behind it with woods and stuff, which I always like. We always played in those woods. It was such a fun time. I never caught any fungus on my feet, but my friends who always like would go barefoot in the creek. But anyway, I'm sorry. That's how I deal with like telling things is laughing a little.
You do you. You do you. It's absolutely understandable.
So
I do the same thing.
We saw like 2 doors down, the backyard light motion sensor kept going on and off for a bit, and then we kind of like looked at each other and we're like, that's kind of weird. And then I remembered a detail that I didn't tell you the other day. We saw like a flashlight. I swear we saw a flashlight somewhere behind one of the houses. So we were on my back porch, and it has just like a half wall, and we kind of were like sitting up and just kind of like peering over the wall. And we were like, and that light would never go off unless someone was back there, like for real.
Yeah.
And so we were like, well, let's just go back to your house, because she was like, walk me home. And then I was just gonna like stay there anyway. So we started walking towards the street, and then we saw a figure. It was dark, and it freaked us the fuck out. It was like
this figure had a hat on, right?
I'm pretty sure it looked like he had a hat on. There's like really no lights on the streets. Sometimes people leave their porch lights on, but yeah, it was really dark, so it was hard to like make out anything, but it was definitely like a man, and he was walking kind of slowly. And then we just turned and ran into my house. Nothing like that happened again, but we do know that his MO was to stalk before he did anything. That's how he knew people's patterns, like the kids' patterns and stuff. Now, Kara, she just happened to be in the wrong place, because he probably was stalking maybe her friend. But her friend was taking a shower while she was watering the plants. Yeah, no, things changed a lot. And over the years, me and my friends have wondered and dug into other missing persons cases. The biggest one being Alicia Showalter, who was found near where he was living. There was like a few murders around right before these girls that they kind of dubbed the Route 29 killer, because there was a few, but they also didn't know if they like, because none of them were really fully matched. So, but the only thing was that they were like, happened to be on the road at the time when, like, I think Alicia Showalter had her car broken down, and she was like outside of her car when he rolled up, or someone rolled up. Not blaming Richard, but you know, possible. And so to this day, her family keeps trying to bug the FBI to test DNA to see if maybe his matches anything for hers. And at one point, I think he was a traveling salesperson. So that makes sense that like it would be easy to travel up and down the East Coast. So we've been always looking at cases from like Maryland all the way down to South Carolina, where he's from.
Now, I wonder, did he live, did he live around Virginia or anything at that point, and move to South or to North Carolina, or did he?
Yeah. So him and the other girl that he met, who was 17, who came from, I guess, a really troubled background as well. And she's apparently seems troubled. I have no idea. I've just read things. She apparently still adores him and loves him and doesn't think he did it. I don't know. I don't want to touch someone else's trauma. Like I mean, it's gotta be hard either way. Like, so she was young, as well as like his first wife was 17 when they met. And so it seems like he chose women that had and just wanted to run away. But years later, when I found out that he felt confident enough that they weren't on his track, he stayed in the area after he married this girl. I forgot her name. Something like Hope Marie Crowley. That's her name. I can't find any information on her. But I guess I don't really need to know. Like,
Yeah, I know.
I think it's just like wanting to put pieces together and stuff. Like, they moved in 99, I believe, to South Carolina. So he stayed in the area for till 99.
Yeah. Oh, it makes me absolutely ill. Do you remember when you heard that they had, they had got him, or that he had killed himself? Do you remember hearing that? Or
No, because it was a little bit later that we got word of who it actually was.
'cause I was just wondering, like, if that brought
Yeah, because they found
closure
all
to.
this evidence, and at least linking him to their murders. They have other weird things, but they couldn't like find a trail. It seemed like he had a lot of notes on stalking people. He would just jot down lots of details and stuff.
It's really amazing, all the details that Kara gathered, that she had the presence of mind
She
for a
disarmed him
15-year-old,
by talking to him like a normal person.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if I could, but we never know what we're capable of
Yeah.
until we're in a situation.
Yeah, she was talking in one interview that I watched about just sitting there and at the kitchen table, where she could look at the refrigerator and see all the magnets, and that's how she found out, who his dentist was, and all this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And like, just talking to him, and just like that they were friends almost.
Mm-hmm.
Which is amazing. Just, I mean, I don't know. I don't. It's amazing. There's no telling how many lives she saved. Honestly.
Yeah. I know that she said that she was pissed when she found out that he killed himself, because
Yeah.
she wanted to look him in his face and put him away.
Yeah, she said that she wanted to look him in the face, and for him to know that picking her was his biggest mistake of his life. And I was just like, wow. I also watched an interview with the sheriff at the sheriff's department where she was taken to, and he actually cried. They became very close over the years, and I think it's amazing that she ended up going to work there. And the whole story is just incredible. I can't believe I had never heard about it.
You want to hear a funny, awkward
Absolutely.
detail? So when she was in college, in her criminology class, they brought him up.
Yeah.
And the teacher had no idea that she was in the class. And she said something. She was like,
yeah, she said that she sat through it all, that she had really not talked about it a whole lot. And even her mother and father said that maybe they were wrong for not forcing her to go to any kind of therapy. But bless her mom's heart. Her mom said, who was I to force her to do anything after what she had gone through? And I, as a mama, I felt it. I absolutely felt it. And people can, armchair quarterback it all they want and say what should have been done or shouldn't have been done. But you don't know. You don't know unless you're in that, and you don't know unless you're talking about your 15-year-old child. You don't know. And she's so just amazing. She seems very healed from it, very in control of everything. But I cannot imagine, because you're right. She said that she sat there in that college course, and that they told all the details of her case. And that whenever it was over with, that she walked up there and she said, that was me. And I'm just like, oh, can you imagine? the instructor was probably like, oh shit.
I don't know how he like missed that detail, but you know, I guess it just didn't register.
Yeah.
So some other things about how this really like changed me was I started getting obsessed with psychology. I got obsessed with serial killers in kind of an unhealthy way. And then I had to like cold turkey, like cut that off.
Yeah.
But I was like, I didn't know how to process it. I mean, I'm also autistic. So a lot of things in my life that I've gone through, I've just always either done fight, flight, or freeze or fawn. Like I do all of them, but I'm like such a people pleaser usually. I just kind of like dug into like, why would somebody do this? Why? Like, what is wrong with you? What the fuck is like,
yeah,
what went wrong? I even got like as far as like wanting to maybe be a pathologist or get into some sort of criminology. I'm also a photographer, so I thought maybe I could do crime scene photos, but where I'm at in my life, you know, I don't think I could handle that actually. I'm good. Like, you know, I do have a fascination with like knowing how, like the mystery of like trying to figure out how someone died or something like that. But
I'm obsessed with all that. I'm obsessed with crime anyway, but serial killers, all that kind of thing. I'm always trying to dig into the mind of, you know, a psychopath or a sociopath or whatever, but somebody that does this stuff to children, I just can't. I just can't even.
yeah,
it's the one thing that I can't understand at all. So I do want to, while we're doing this, I want to look at some of our starred comments because I don't want to get too far. Yeah.
And I also wanted to show you something, so we'll go through this first.
Yeah, absolutely. This won't take long. Saw recently that they just found a kidnapped girl for 4 years. That is absolutely amazing. Just got here. Good to see you, beautiful girl. So brave. This hits my mom heart. Me too. Absolutely hits my mama heart. Hales, I didn't care what his plans were. I knew what my plans were. What a powerful statement. Absolutely. Hales, that really got me. A candle for the souls. That's right. Light a candle for the souls of the girls and the women murdered and harmed. Yeah, somebody knows something on Hulu. Absolutely. The girl who escaped on Lifetime. Hales is on top of it.
I know. They're awesome.
Know it. That is so hard to experience. It must have been harrowing to experience mentally and emotionally because it takes away from your sense of safety and innocence. Absolutely. That's what, when you were telling me this story the other day, all I kept singing was Baby Mandy. I kept imagining. Because I don't know. I think of you as a kid anyway, you know, and so I just
I'm 44.
I know, but I'm a daughter your age, so it's like, this is my child here. And it just like, I just want to go hug baby Mandy. I just like, oh, I'm serious. I'm not even playing. It is so scary that really, that he was just skulking around you and your cousin's house. Yeah, absolutely, Hales. That would set off some alarm bells. Absolutely. It creeped me out. Yeah. How long after you saw the Hat Man did you find out that it was him? Well, they don't know that was him, but I have a sneaking suspicion that was him.
It's very
I
possible,
mean,
but
because seriously, anybody that lived there, what the fuck would they be doing walking? You know what I mean?
it
They
was
would know
late
that
at
would be,
night.
yeah, they would know that would be sketchy as hell. So I just don't think that anybody that had any reason to be there would have been there. I think it had to be somebody that had no reason to be there. And that's Susie's theory on this case. The legal system needs to take the physical act of stalking and peeping seriously before someone goes missing and has something worse happen. Establish the stalking and proactively set, yeah, restraining orders, etc. Absolutely. Absolutely. Prevent SA, rape, and worse from happening instead of making reactions. Yeah.
Oh no, my light, it's uncharged. I have to charge it. I don't have any more light. I'm not bright
It
enough
doesn't
now.
look bad though. It doesn't look bad.
Okay.
Quiet Peaceful Dance says, when I watched the documentary, I had horrific anxiety when she talked about her escape. Oh, I know. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it again. I was watching everything I was looking at the last few days. I was looking at to kind of know where we were going with this, and now I want to like go back and watch it to like commit it to memory, and I think that that's a way that we honor the victims, is by looking at that kind of thing and watching it.
And even though I haven't gone to their graves, I give someone money to put flowers there for me.
I understand not going. I understand.
Next year will be the 30 years.
Wow. Oh, I asked Robin Drake, a former Marine and FBI behavioral expert, and he told me broken brain. Oh, so that's what makes child molesters? I guess.
Well, there is a lot of like chemistry and biology, nurture versus nature, and the right combo. Like I was talking about that with Susie the other day, which would be a whole other episode on its own. It's very fascinating how the shit works sometimes.
Yeah. We've already started talking about a next a next live to do. So yeah. Of course, I told Mandy the other day that they can come on anytime they want. Just, randomly on a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday, any day. I don't care. We'll just make it work. Says Mandy, malignant narcissists have no reasons for what they do other than getting an endorphin rush. They are simple animals. I agree. And I've been watching a lot of different podcasts about this kind of situation. And that's what all these clinical psychologists and, they seem to agree with that and with Ben, this broken brain, like they're just broken people. And we don't know if we'll ever understand it. And it says, yes. And again, Gavin de Becker's The Gift of Fear is a great book. If you get the creeps, don't be polite, just leave. Your gut reaction when you get the creeps is often your brain telling you. Absolutely.
But I'm also like a really anxious person, so I can never actually tell if I'm like being paranoid. But a lot of times, if I go with my gut, I'm usually right.
Yeah, I believe it. I think that we don't give our guts enough credit sometime. I really think we don't. And I don't know.
And honestly, for me, I feel like every time I have seen Kara, even before I start talking to her, I was like getting some sort of closure. Like even though the details of it were hard, I like knew exactly what they went through, and I mourned that part of it too, because it's so disgusting. And when I finally reached out to her, like I know she keeps in contact with both of their families. Mm-hmm. I'm totally proud of her for how far she's come. She's even helped me not just with her story, but like during the pandemic, she started doing EMDR, and she taught me about that, and I looked into it, and then I started doing EMDR, and it actually was like helping. So
Amazing.
And she has a little girl now too, so she has 2 boys and a little girl. And she looks like she's thriving. I mean,
Yeah.
this kind of never goes away. Like,
No,
to be
no,
real, we
absolutely
can have all the therapy we want, but a part of you is like twisted,
Yeah.
and it's never gonna be untwisted.
Absolutely.
I wanted to show you something.
Absolutely.
All right, let me see if this works. Hopefully it works. Can you see this?
Yes. Okay, I'm going to add this to stage. Is this what you're talking about? Let me turn this off. Yeah.
I need to do a little rearranging. Okay. I'm just rearranging my desktop really quick so I can make sure I see us and I can see what I'm doing. All right, so this is where they found the girls. This is King's Dominion. It's an amusement park about 20 minutes south of Fredericksburg. And so they were found over here. Someone who went over this bridge saw them. And shoot, hold on, what was that address again? Well, there we go. This is my hometown.
Mm-hmm.
So down here is where they were found. I don't remember what I tagged this over here for, so ignore that. But this is around where they lived. Yeah, it's our courthouse. They lived right by Spotsylvania High School, wherever that is over here. But it gives you an idea of like where they were taken from.
I can't imagine being the parents of those sisters and having lost.
This road was their road. And that's the high school. So he was taking people that were also pretty close to the high school. Let me share this tab. So this is where Sophia was found. A construction worker. I'm guessing they were probably doing construction back then on this area. Found her here in King George County, which is like 45 minutes east of Fredericksburg. And oh, gosh darn it. She lived over here. And
You
she
know, I
lived,
really do. You know, we talked about, we wondered if he was, if he was trying to get somebody from each of the high schools there, and that's just another, I mean, we'll never know. But
here, I'm trying to like make a point
but
about
well,
something. Okay. So this is Cortland High School and Levels Road is over here. So this was her neighborhood, really close to the school. Okay. I think I have to put in an actual. Actually, I think I can just zoom in and I can show. I don't think I have to. Am I doing the right one? Nope. Sorry, guys. I'm
no, you're fine.
discombobulated.
No
Okay,
problem.
so this was my high school. Guess where my neighborhood was?
Gonna guess quick or close. Yeah.
Over here. Like, I've walked to school before. It's not a hard walk, but yeah, I'd walked to school before. So you can see how close everybody, like I even lived like right by there.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's so scary. And, you know, I told Mandy the other day on the phone that I'm just so glad that they're okay and that, you know, they were safe. And
thank you, lady. If you just got here, you're gonna have to go to my YouTube and watch back this video. Because we're talking about some heavy stuff. And I did tell you I was gonna be live today. Here I am, but it's not cozy and fun time right now.
yeah. By the way, I've seen several people who absolutely love your hair.
I know,
myself included. It's
like,
gorgeous.
I love the compliments. Like, I think that's why I've always dyed my hair too, because like I want to look fun, and I just like. It's not that I crave attention. I just like when people like my hair.
There's absolutely
because it's like it's art to me. It's my artistry.
Absolutely.
And when I had my hair all like almost black, nobody said anything because it was just like dark brown. Nobody said anything. I was like, no.
I've had my hair so many colors, and I'm in my just pretty much go back to my natural color stage right now, my natural color era. But that doesn't mean it'll last long. But yeah, I love your hair. I always love your hair. And Hales too. Hales has always got cool colors.
Oh, hi, Christy. I just saw. Sometimes when I'm like in like I got to get things out of my brain, I like don't even look at the chat.
Oh, I do the same thing. I absolutely do the same thing.
Yeah, like I just decided to do kind of the Billie Eilish thing. I know she's not the first one to do it, but I just call it the Billie Eilish thing where you do like different colored roots. And eventually I want to make the purple just lavender, like a pale purple with this pink. I don't know. We'll see what my hair can do.
Well, I think it's great. I love it. Well, I think that we're going to go ahead and call this one good. I figured we'd go about an hour. I don't want to stress you out for too long. Please.
I'm okay. I'm doing
take care of you. I just want you to take care of yourself.
Does anybody have any other questions?
Yeah, if there's any other questions. Yeah, like Starburst. Ben's really liking your hair.
Yay. Yeah, I've got to go eat some food.
Yeah, me
relax
too.
my brain. But I appreciate people wanting to, you know, highlight missing persons cases and give voices to like victims that, you know, or I don't consider myself a victim, but when you think about a community, everybody's kind of a victim in that.
Everybody is kind of.
So it's really good for people to hear how things can really change people
That's
in an
like
area.
it's not the same thing, but speaking about communities and being victims and stuff, a few years ago we had wildfires here, and we lost over 400 homes in basically
Mm.
our community. And I didn't lose my home, but even the ones that even people that didn't lose homes are still just traumatized to this day over it. It's so, I mean, it just speaks to community and how, those kind of things
Kind of like
affect
a collective
everybody.
grieving, because even people who
Exactly.
didn't know these girls, like I don't know Sophia, but
Absolutely.
I'm like,
Yeah,
man, that's horrible. Like I feel
absolutely.
so bad for families who have to lose their kids,
I do too. I do too.
especially in violent ways. Like,
Oh, I know. Yeah, with violence or like where they don't know where they are. I'm so glad that these
yeah,
girls were found. And oh, it just makes me hurt thinking that there's some out there that maybe haven't been found or that they don't know what happened to them, or who basically
yeah.
did things to them. I think that the not knowing has to be so much harder than the knowing. If there's any
I think
kind of
it would be for
scale,
me. I
know.
think it would be for me as well. Like not being able to have any sort of closure.
Yeah,
And that's why it also feels like, yeah, we kind of got justice, but not
yeah,
really.
not really.
He took the
Yeah,
coward's way out
yeah.
and didn't have to confess all of his freaking crimes.
Didn't have to see his name and his face plastered all over everything, and it makes me sick. He really, you
Mhm.
know, yeah. Oh yeah. Ben says, I get it. I was affected pretty profoundly in pretty profound ways by someone I barely know losing their daughter at Columbine. Absolutely.
That was another thing that kind of rocked my world as a goth person.
Yeah,
Like,
I'm sure.
we kind of got targeted in my high school more than we already
Hmm.
were. Like,
Yeah.
I actually got called to the principal's office. Like, you got to make sure mental health kid, you're not going to like actually do something to the
Yeah.
school. Like, everybody was on edge. My friends who
Uh,
wore trench coats stopped wearing their trench coats because they were just like, we were all like afraid of like the other people who wanted to
yeah.
harm us, I
Absolutely.
guess.
Absolutely.
Yeah, gas had
Yeah.
nothing to do with
Yeah, and
it
the
at all.
Goths actually had nothing to do with it. Absolutely.
Marilyn Manson had nothing to do with it. Like, I hate
And
when people are like blame artists like for
yeah,
things. Like, remember Twisted Sister? Like that guy had to get drug into Congress
yeah.
for for his I don't know, remember if it was like
I don't remember
the
exactly either,
band,
but I bet Ben
his
does.
look, or what. Yeah,
Yeah.
but that was like a pretty big case. Because people like
Yeah,
to try and find something to blame.
yeah,
That's the thing.
absolutely.
And sometimes there is nothing to blame, like no
Yeah, Dee
outside
Snider.
source. Like, yeah, Dee Snider, that's right. One other case that I want to throw out there to everyone, if you want to see something about a community that was fully rocked in North Carolina, look up Pazuzu, the Pazuzu case. And on Vice, they did a really, really good documentary series interviewing all of the survivors of those victims and what it did to the community and to the people who actually partied with this guy and knew him. Like, it's a really gross case. Like, he was
We will
a
have you back.
disgusting person.
Maybe that'll
And
be
that
the
was
next
that
one.
was another case that I was like, what the? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh goodness.
Everybody look at my kitty. Let's get some nice
I
fuzzies in before
know.
we go.
I was gonna say something about the kitty.
I also have Felix is on the other side, but
It's so funny. My friend Christy, she has a cat and its name is Shitty Kitty.
oh my god.
She'll be like, "Hey, Shitty, what are you
Yeah,
doing, Shitty?"
she loves giving me a bath. The other two cats, not so much, but she loves it. But I think that
Yeah.
is a female cat thing. I think
Oh,
that
no, my
because they're
male is
nurturers.
I
I
have
have no
male cat
idea.
is so weird.
Maybe
I
it's
was
because she
talking
thinks
about
I'm
him
her
yesterday.
baby.
Yeah. My male cat likes to literally sit on my shoulder and put his face up against my face and lick my nose.
Oh,
The
that's so
whole
cute.
nose.
Oh, someone knows about Pazuzu. Someone knows about
Yeah.
Pazuzu.
Yeah, we will definitely be looking into it, and maybe you'll come back and talk to us about it.
Yeah, and I would love to talk about the psychology of this stuff because
Absolutely.
I learned a lot in my last sociology class that I took about this kind of thing and what can breed psychopaths.
Yeah. That's
So,
that's an area that whenever I look into a lot of crimes, I really like to look into that part of it, the whole mental health parts of it, what may have been affecting the person that did the crime, and also how it affected people that were either victims of the crime or knew people that were victims of whatever. I like to look at it from the mental health part of it. It's so fascinating to me. It's just amazing. Oh, wow, I've got 13 cats. One's named Balls. That's funny. Oh my goodness. I bought this stuffed cat. It's white, and I bought it from Temu. This has been probably a year ago. It was one of my first Temu purchases a long time ago. And it was just like this big, fat, white stuffed cat. And I thought that it was adorable. I got it here. It had 2 great big white balls. And my granddaughter, Veta, took it home with her, and I thought surely her mom, I told her, I said, cut those things off or something, but she won't. Veta won't let her, and she named it Snowballs.
that's amazing.
I said, oh boy. I'm like, oh well. When we live out in the country, we live on a farm. The kids around here know these things. It's not nothing new. So, but anyway, thank you so much, Mandy, for being here. I can't thank you enough. I love you to pieces. I surely do.
Thank you so much. And thank you
and everybody,
to all the chatters.
And thank you to everybody that's here from Mandy's channel. I'm glad she got it worked out where she could stream it over there too. So as for my channel, we'll be back tomorrow. We've got a really interesting show tomorrow too. So anyway, I'm gonna go eat some food, y'all.
And I'm gonna go eat some food as well. Make sure everybody stays hydrated. It's very important. I'm found on almost all socials, Great Catsby _, but on Instagram there's a _ between Great and Catsby because someone has the name.
Oh.
But thank you so much again, and let's keep highlighting like missing persons cases. See if any like details can be found.
You just never know. People, get found. We might end up helping somebody. Who knows? But anyway, I'm gonna go. Thank you so much, and I will see everybody tomorrow. Bye.
If you watch till the end, we can't thank you enough. We hope that you'll come back. Hope that you made a new friend. Because at But First Coffee,